Wake up, college football. It was a double wake up on a Monday morning. Double wake up, college football. And I gotta say, unlike other mornings, believe it or not, unlike other mornings, and we've had now 8 shows in the books, this is number 9. I'm not telling myself that. I am not telling myself to wake up. That's all I was doing the other shows was saying, wake up, Mark. But today I got to say, I'm pretty wide awake for 8 o'clock in the morning. It may be 7 for you. It might be 6. It might be 5 for you. And let's not forget our international audience where it could be fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. Once we get outside the continental United States, it's difficult for me to tell time. So I have a lot of people that I schedule records and live streams with and other communications, appointments, meetings, and a number of people will let me know I'm not real good on the conversion rate. Not really good because there was a time I would schedule meetings and every so often it would slip my mind and I would just say noon and this person was 2 time zones away and of course we would miss the meeting. Everything. I almost do this now with friends from time to time and other people that are obviously right around the corner. And I will put like Eastern time and they'll be like Eastern time. Yes, we know. Well, I'm just in the habit with people. Just to clarify, always clarify, it's Eastern time for me. You figure it out. But I'm okay with the conversions. I guess it's from watching a lot of television throughout my life, or it's doing this, and with all the college football games and all the scheduling, constantly thinking, okay, what are the time zones? But a lot of people are pretty shaky on the time zones. Pretty shaky. And before we get disturbed, I'm going to silence my phone. So, absolutely, I have pretty much had to tell myself while I was telling you to wake up and telling you the title of the show, because we're still selling this baby out to the public. Hey, we're here every day. Tell a friend. That wake up college football at the start of the show before was, wake up, Mark. It's time to talk. But not today. Today, relatively speaking, pretty wide awake. I got some sleep last night. And wow, the connection. Sleep, alert the next morning. Alert. I'm not going to say that I'm ready to run a marathon. I'm not going to say that I'm like really ready and prepared to host a show. So that's one of the issues with doing this show at 8 o'clock in the morning for me is I'm not prepared to do the show, whether that be like logistically prepared, have a rundown, ready to go, ready to perform, or am I mentally prepared to do a show? That's never going to happen. I probably could do this for 20 years. And yes, we'll do Wake Up College Football and 365 times 20. We will be 6,500 shows in, and I will still not be a morning person or ready to go. That's my guess because I've never been one. So this is about as good as it gets. And when I say I got some sleep last night, now that I think about it, it feels like I got good sleep last night. I am a person that doesn't get much sleep. How do we do on the sleep register, folks? Sleep? How much sleep do you get? There's going to be people that say 8 hours, got to have my 8 hours. Got to have my 8 hours. There are going to be people that say 5 or 6. I got to guess the average American, the average working American probably gets 6 or 7, 6.5 hours sleep, something like that. That would be my guess. I know somebody in particular that I don't know how this person does it. People think that I don't get much sleep. This person, I've had zillions of conversations with them at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're always getting up at 5 a.m., they're up. And then they're not taking a nap. No, they're working the entire day and going through the entire day. And then the next day, they might go to bed at 11, but they might stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Again, get up at 5 o'clock, regardless. 2 hours sleep, up at 5. No. So people think I don't get much sleep. When I worked my last job, as many of you know, I was generally working the overnight. It wasn't a classic overnight shift where I was working till 6 or 7 in the morning. It was more in the lines of, depending on the era of my career, generally 3 or 4 in the morning. By the time I got home, 5 a.m., I was going to bed, something in that range. Then I would go through stretches where I would really have a bad stretch of habits and get home and just have the munchies and start to eat, flip on the TV, mistake, go on the internet, mistake, instead of just going to sleep. So people would say to me, you work these crazy hours, you've got to be a coffee drinker. Not a coffee drinker. I think we've had this discussion at some point during the long era of this show about drinking coffee. Never got into it, never needed it. A lot of people pick it up when they go to college. That's what I've always understood. That's what a lot of people have told me. I've seen polls that people have picked it up because they started college and they had to study late. And so suddenly they picked up the coffee habit. I didn't do that. I was telling some friends last night, we were talking about sleeping habits, we were talking about studying habits, they were talking about their daughter and so forth, and we were talking about our kids, and then we were talking about ourselves. And for me, there were no all-nighters studying in college. If I didn't learn it in class and in the minimal time that I spent studying, I just figured, hey, I got 3 exams tomorrow. I'm like confident on this one. I'm semi-confident in this one. In this one, Lord help me. Whatever it is, I'm not studying past midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm going to be ready to go. And if I don't know it now, I'm not going to know it. So I did not get into the coffee habit. So it was either, for a lot of people, I think in college, too much studying, too much cramming, coffee. Or it was just that's what everybody else was doing. I got to think that had a lot to do with it. And it was drinking for coffee the next morning. I never did that. I never got into that. It just, I hated the taste of coffee. I believe I still hate the taste of coffee. Make it cold, make it hot. The cold version of coffee, I just totally don't get. My mom used to love coffee ice cream, especially from Friendly's restaurants. I think we talked about that last week at some point. We were talking restaurants and I brought up Friendly's. My mom loved coffee ice cream. It was okay. It's ice cream. I'll eat any flavor of ice cream. That was not my selection, though. So I guess the first order of business would be to actually know whether I'm being heard. I assume by all the comments in the chat that I am being heard. And the reason I say that is because we've got our wireless mic on for about a 4th or 5th straight show, something like that. And I just want to make sure that I can be heard because I still kind of wonder about that. Even though it shows me levels and it shows me that it's connected, just got to make sure of that. So D-Rock Irish, I can always count on D-Rock Irish to give me the thumbs up when I'm saying, are we getting this through? Thank you for responding. Megan used to have 18, am I reading this correctly? Hopefully this is a typo. 18 cups of coffee a day. How is this possible? You're up for 18 hours. You're drinking a cup of coffee every hour. Went cold turkey off it and had severe withdrawal, 2 to 3 cups a day, and stopped drinking at lunchtime. Well, 18 cups to 2 or 3 cups, that's quite a reduction. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, so I feel well rested. And I guess when it comes down to it, I set the alarm for 7:09. At the outset of this show number 1, it was 7:03. Why? I just spun the numbers. It came to 7:03. I thought, good time. We're getting up then. I pushed it. I got to like 7:15, something in that range last week after 4 or 5 shows. I knocked it back to 7:09. I wanted to be ready, rearing to go here. But now that I think about it, did I really get that much sleep? I went to sleep about 2:15 or 2:20. 2:15, 2:20. So we're working on what, 4 hours and 40 minutes? And I woke up during the night. But I can sleep. See, that's the thing. A lot of people that don't get much sleep, they just can't sleep. And I feel bad for those people. My son has had those issues. I've got a dear friend who suffers from sleep deprivation, can't go to sleep, gets up early, all of that, can't sleep. And before Megan goes, and maybe that's already the case, I just wanted to make sure, since Megan was not here the other day, that Megan, we fulfilled your request of the vegan breakfast. So hopefully you caught that. You got the vegan breakfast in, and we did it the only way that I knew how, unless I was going to eat a salad for breakfast, and that's not going to happen. They would have to be the greatest super chat ever delivered. But we went with a smoothie. Timely with the morning shows. This is something that I've focused on and I've gotten better with. Really, just all the shows, because I am generally a late person. Not late like an hour late to things. I don't want to say that it's not rude, because it depends on your interpretation of what's rude. But my boss told me one time at my last job, because we had a 3 o'clock management meeting. 3 o'clock management meeting it moved around different eras, but I'm thinking Tuesday or Wednesday, it was generally on Tuesday or Thursday throughout my tenure there. And we had a 3 o'clock management meeting every week. Okay. And I would walk in at 3:03, almost like clockwork. And at one point, this went on for years. And he said to me at some point, "Mark, I don't know what it is, but you're always 3-4 minutes late for the management meeting." And you know what was going on at 3 or 4 minutes past 3 o'clock in the management meeting? 90-some% of the time, nothing had been spoken that was worth anything. However, I get it. I should be there at 3 o'clock, if not 2:59, and in my chair and ready to go. But for some reason, now I did explain to him, I said, well, let's understand something. And there were typically 12 to 14 of us on the management team. I said, let's understand something. I am the only one coming from home. I'm the only one who worked until 5 a.m. the night before. Now, that's plenty of time to make a 3 o'clock meeting. That's not my point. But I'm the only one who is not currently at work. So everybody else at the management meeting is already at work. So there's a difference between making a meeting on time when you're already at work. You're down the hall, you're in some building that's very close by. You're there so you can say, it's 2:50, I'm going to walk over, go to my management meeting, versus preparing for your day, being at home, taking a shower, getting ready for work, coming into work, and making a meeting. Two different things. Does not in any way excuse me of the responsibility of getting to work on time and getting to the management meeting on time. I was horrible at getting to work on time. I was always 10 minutes late, 20 minutes late, whatever. Depending on my job. Depends what kind of job you have. When I had a management job and there were 8 other managers there and it didn't matter, nobody cared. Did I do my job? Yes. That didn't matter. When I was specifically relieving somebody, no, I would not be rude and would be on time in those instances. I don't know why we got into that. Oh, D-Rock Irish praising me for being on time with this particular show. 9 shows in. We have yet to oversleep. We have yet to really go past 8:01, something like that. I'm going to call that on time. That's on internet time. I had a boss at Walmart during my splendid 1.5-year stay at Walmart who said, if you're not 15 minutes early for the meeting, you are late. I don't agree with that. If you're late for the meeting, you're late for the meeting. If you're on time or early for the meeting, if the meeting's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you're sitting there at 1:59 or at 2 o'clock, then you are on time for the meeting. If you wanted the meeting at 1:45, schedule the meeting at 1:45. Good morning, everyone. Moose, Jackson, and others. Tim, the Tap Man, is here. Which quarterback do you think Iowa should get in the transfer portal? All right, let's get right to it. Let's go straight from our sleep schedules to football. NFL draft over the weekend. I have less knowledge of this year's NFL draft than any in history. We talked a lot last week about the NFL draft and preparing for the NFL draft and all of that, and our memories of the NFL draft. I have always loved the NFL draft, stayed home from school. God bless my mom, rest in peace, the best mom ever. Not because of this, but she let me stay home from school to watch the NFL draft when I was in junior high. And people are like, stay home from school? You don't have to stay home from school. The NFL drafts at night. Nope, not way back then. So yeah, this NFL draft, this is the first NFL draft I did not watch. Did not see any of the NFL draft. Now, for parts of a couple rounds at different times, I was listening to the Pro Football Focus analysis of the NFL draft. So didn't have to comment or hear any comments on suits or shoes. That was a plus. All right. But the NFL draft, we'll talk a little bit more about the NFL draft. There was actually a post on X this morning that I wanted to reference in regards to college football and NFL draft status in recruiting. And I'm going to get to that question. I just pulled somebody's question off the screen. It was Tim's, and I meant to get to that, and I will. 3.5 days of being awake. Hopefully that's not literal. Keith is saying, Mark, one of the great coaches, I can't remember who or what level, said if you're not 5 minutes early. Well, I get that. One more point on the being on time. There's a difference between our meetings at 5 o'clock and at 5 o'clock you're walking in the door, you've got to take off a jacket, you've got to get your books and papers organized so you can take some notes, or then you're not on time because it's taking you 2 minutes to do that. No, that's not on time. Back to Tim. Where is he? Tim wants a quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I don't know if they want a quarterback. I truly don't know if this program wants a quarterback. I think that they are really testing the logistics and the rules and the actual logical approach to football to say, how good can we be in the absence of a quarterback? Can we possibly have the worst situation at the most important position and still win? And the answer is yes. And the answer is no. The answer is yes to a degree. The answer is no when you play anyone any good. When is the last time Iowa beat a good football team? My definition of a good football team would be a team that's winning, depending on schedule, of course, 7 or 8 games. I don't have a ridiculous standard. I'm not one of these people that I see in the chat all the time that's basically everybody in the country's trash except for 2 or 3 teams, or sometimes it's the national champion and then everybody else is trash. No. Good team goes 8-4 in a good conference. So we would have to go through Iowa and see when they truly have defeated good teams. They certainly didn't beat any good teams this past year. Was Iowa State a good team? Yeah, they were okay. So that's going to be tough to do. Iowa, get a transfer quarterback. Off the top of my head, there is not a transfer quarterback out there outside of Jaden Rashada. Oh, yeah, he signed with Georgia. So there's the UCF backup quarterback that we've looked at. There are the Utah State quarterbacks. So we're talking about Cooper Lagos, I believe is how you pronounce the last name, from the Utah State Aggies. You've got Timmy McClain from UCF. Iowa missed it in December. They missed it. There were so many good quarterbacks. There were more good quarterbacks in this transfer cycle in December and January than we've ever seen. Not even close. And I understand a lot of them were already ticketed to go somewhere. But Dante Moore, Dylan Gabriel, Will Rogers, KJ Jefferson, Will Howard, Tyler Van Dyke, Malik Murphy, Max Johnson. I'm sure that you guys could come up with many, many more. And before I hear a disparaging word about Max Johnson at Iowa, Max Johnson would be the best quarterback that they've had since fill in the blank. Nathan Chandler, better than Nate Stanley. Max Johnson threw 27 touchdowns against 6 picks at LSU against SEC defenses. Max Johnson can play in the right system. Other guys, I'm not going to go through the whole litany of transfer quarterbacks, but there were, and of course Cam Ward, they're not getting him, but there were 15 quarterbacks that would have been such a substantial improvement, like a just eye-opening, transformational improvement. Not that they were that great, but they were capable, functional quarterbacks that with protection and with viable wide receiver options, and of course they've got tight ends. They don't have any receivers, but they've got tight ends. A guy that could throw 20 or 25 touchdown passes at Iowa. But they decided to pass on those guys. I was beating the table, pounding the table throughout our Iowa shows. Tuesdays, Corey Bratta, 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central. Got to be there. Iowa channel I'm telling you, even if you could care less about the Hawkeyes, just join us. It's a good time. Immediately when the season was over, I was all over the transfer portal. Iowa quarterback, go get a quarterback. Cade McNamara's hobbling around 7 games in 2 years, and really he's overrated by a lot of people. I hesitate to say players are overrated or underrated, because my thought is typically by who are we talking about? By whom are they overrated or underrated? Give me this rating and then I'll let you know if I think that they're overrated or underrated. But I just think that a lot of people out there thought that he was going to be some kind of savior. He's a decent quarterback, but now he's hurt. And he's supposed to be ready for the fall and ready to go by August, but he could not participate in the spring, and he's not played any football since last September, maybe October. So they needed to go get a quarterback, and Deacon Hill was obviously not the answer. He played the position for a team that won the Big Ten Western Division Championship. Iowa fans, hold on to that dear prize, that dear award of the 2023 Big Ten Western Division Championship. And Deacon Hill entered the portal. And then they've got this Marco Lioness. He is clearly not ready for the job. I do not believe, unless things change drastically. So I've got no portal quarterbacks for you. Again, off the top of my head, the Utah State quarterback and the UCF quarterback are the most accomplished quarterbacks still in the portal. They lost that back in December. Now at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we will do our transfer portal update as we do each and every day. Weekday, 3 p.m. Eastern time is our transfer portal update. And we will go through, and Monday, of course, is the most activity for us to go through. Because of all the activity over the weekend. So I may come across a few names, but I doubt it. I've not heard of anybody else in the portal to go get. Do you guys know of any other names? Am I forgetting anyone? But we will review that for the Iowa Hawkeyes. If anything, I should deliver on my promise to Erica, because I told her that I would find her a quarterback. But for right now, who's that guy? I guess they're going to have to go after this UCF backup quarterback. He would challenge for the spot. He threw for 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. He would probably challenge for the spot. Yes, Caleb Williams was not a surprise as the #1 pick. That was pretty much a consensus pick. There's always that last minute rumor before the NFL draft starts when there is a consensus #1. Like, this guy is #1. Everybody knows it. It's obvious that there's some kind of rumor that gets out there, I think, just to create some type of interest, some level of interest in somebody doubting that there could be a switch at #1, but that, of course, did not happen. Okay, Aaron, you may want to go to the record books. Iowa is not Purdue. They believe themselves to be Penn State. I don't know that they believe anything. I think they believe themselves to be Iowa. I don't think they really look at Penn State or that type of program and make any type of claims in that direction. No, Iowa is not Penn State. Penn State's one of the 10 best programs in the country. Iowa is one of the 20 best programs in the country, roughly 25. Purdue is more like one of the 40 or 50 best programs in the country. No, that's okay. That's just line up the records. Take inventory of the records of the last 5 years, the last 10 years, the last 20 years. That is like comparing I'll make an SEC comparison and say, and I can't come up with a good one because Iowa's so consistent. Everybody I'm thinking of in the SEC is up and down. Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, they're one of those schools. Iowa's one of those schools, and you're comparing them to South Carolina. Kentucky to LSU. I'll take that. I would say LSU is much higher than Iowa, but certainly Iowa has not had the down years that LSU has had. But yeah, that's not an apt comparison there. T. Hawkeye says, Mark, is it better being a Penn State fan than an Iowa fan? It depends what your criteria of being a fan is. If you're talking about championships, no, it's not better. If you're talking about just winning games, being a contender, being looked at and recognized as we recruit top 10 talent, we produce fringe top 10 teams, and we go to major bowl games, then Penn State is your program, way over Iowa. It's not way over Iowa, but it's not debatable. Penn State does all the things I just said. Iowa does none of those things. However, if you're talking about, and for a lot of people, they don't care about the 10-2 season unless you get to championship games and play for championships. That they're both not accomplishing that unless you consider winning Big Ten Western Division championships, which Iowa has done now during the era of the Big Ten championship game, 2015, 21, 23. Penn State, 2016. Penn State's been better. And so if you just, it hit me one time talking about the Hawkeyes last fall, and it was during this entire Brian Ferentz, who's now with the Maryland Terps as an assistant analyst. So keep your eye on the Maryland offense this year. I don't know what he's analyzing. So it just struck me last season at some point, and just looking at this dichotomy of the Iowa program and how unique it is in college football with the offense over here and the defense and the special teams. So amazing. The offense so deplorable. And they just continue to live with that and don't try to do anything about it. And they were forced to. That I thought, is Iowa football just about making their fans feel good 8 or 9 out of 12 weekends a year? Is that what it is? Is it just, we know that we are going to pack a stadium and we are going to have anywhere from 1 million to 5 million people watching us on television, and a large portion of those people are Iowa football fans or listening on the radio. Just their Saturday in the fall is Iowa football, whatever number of people that is. It's probably about 3 million people. If we take any of the data and say, how many people care about Iowa football? It's probably 2 or 3 million people. Is it their goal just to make their Saturday at the stadium, tailgating, at the bar, at home with friends, whatever their ritual in taking in Iowa football? Is it all just about just making that experience as pleasurable as possible, as many times as possible, or as many times as do they believe is doable. I think that's maybe what it is. And make money. We please our fans because we go 8-4, 9-3. I know they went 10-2 this last year and 10-2 2 years ago. But when you add it all up, Kirk Ferentz is an 8-4 coach. He is 8-4. I've talked about Miami football. Miami football, you're a 7-5 football program. That's what you are. You're a 7-5 football program. If we want to narrow down everything, all the metrics, all the wins and losses, and how it goes like this for everybody to a certain extent, and we just shrink it all down to one statement and say, this is your 12-game season all the time. All the time. Iowa, you're 8-4. Miami, you're 7-5, and I'm going to show that to everyone here in just a second. That actually works into the conversation that I was going to just bring up for no reason connected to anything going on right now. Ohio State, you're 11-1. You're 11-1. That's who you are. You're going to lose one game every year. Regular season, you're 11-1. Now that's harder to pin on some other programs, but for those three programs, I will debate anyone. Miami, you're 7-5. For 20 years, 7-5. Iowa, under Kirk Ferentz, you're 8-4. Ohio State, under anybody in the last 25 years, 30 years, you're 11-1. Definitely in the last 20, you're 11-1. When you go, I'm not going to go through all the seasons. I could, but it's for Ohio State in the last 18 or 19 years, it's like 3 undefeated seasons and 3 or 4 10-2 seasons, and all the rest are 11-1 seasons. So they're 11-1. All right. Let's get to the headlines. Oh, no. My Miami point to be made. Moose. Thank you so much for that, Moose. Moose has been a member here for 13 months at the Voice of College Football. And we make no great claims about our memberships here at the Voice of College Football, but that's something that needs to be addressed. So if you become a YouTube channel member right here on the main channel, or a Patreon member, I explain this from time to time. Why do we have Patreon members and YouTube channel members? Because life's complicated. That's why, because life's complicated. Because we started Patreon years ago. I had no idea what it was. Somebody told me about it. Boom. When you're building a business model, grab our Patreon. We start our Patreon memberships, which grew at some point. It touched 100. I think it's about 60 or 65 right now. And let's make no mistake about it. I always shoot straight here at the Voice of College Football. You all know that. Whether that concerns football or concerns business, you are donating to the Voice of College Football. What do you get in return as a Patreon member? You get the Discord link. You can talk college football in our Discord all the time. All our members are there, which totals about 100 and something at this point. So you can talk college football on Discord. You get one exclusive content piece each month per request. I used to deliver it just like clockwork, since we're talking about clockwork during the show. But I soon found out it might as well be per request because I don't know what you want. So if you would like an exclusive content delivery, we can do that, whether that be a live stream. Last year, we had a watch party. We rewatched the 2019 Ohio State Clemson game. All right, exclusive content. Then I'm going to hold off on the predictions. That could be alter this next year because I don't know that a lot of people are interested in my predictions that are YouTube. members and Patreon members. And our pick from Steve Merrill, that's a ridiculous like 20-6 against the spread. And my picks that would have made you $4,500 last year. So we might do something else with the predictions. But the reason we've got both is because we started the Patreon and then the YouTube channel membership started, and it would have been stupid for us not to start YouTube channel memberships because that's what you do. And so we've done everything we can to make them exactly the same. So Moose, thanks for being here. Smash the like button. It's so easy to do, folks, and it helps the YouTube algorithm. It just does. My point about, Moose. And this goes in line with Moose gifting 5 more Voice of College Football memberships, is I've got it right on here. So after our show here at 9:30, and I put no time limit on the show, but something else may be putting a time limit on it in the future. I put my little to-do list, which is like a microcosm of my 55 item to-do list, because I got to do these 4 things right when we get done. And one is to post the YouTube channel memberships, Discord link, and all the information that they need. So congrats to the new members. Moose, thank you so much for that. I in no way can thank you enough, Moose, for what you do here at the Voice of College Football. And Moose, Mr. Michigan, has to put up with me at times taking a few shots at Michigan. And I only do that because those opportunities present themselves. So, Miami. Miami is a 7-5 program. So I got my fancy little rundown that I usually do before we start the show to keep myself in line and with what we're going to talk about, which pretty much is headlines. We do the headlines every morning, and we do the What's for Breakfast Mark. And I wanted to confirm here. See, Megan's smoothie. Megan, I made a smoothie. That was your vegan breakfast that you requested. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for the super chat to fund the smoothie. Okay, so, while I was doing this, I'm in my notepad there, and I come across, this video I did. It's Miami and their options to go to the SEC or the Big Ten, theoretically. And so I did a look at Miami against the SEC this century and Miami against the Big Ten. And so I got all my notes here. I did the video. This was months ago. Check out the video. And we went through all those various matchups of Miami against the Big Ten and the SEC and Florida State and Notre Dame, and did all those matchup. Miami is 6-8 against the SEC since the year 2000. Miami is 3-8 against the Big Ten. Lost to Rutgers in a bowl game last year. Lost to Michigan State in 21. Has lost to Wisconsin 3 times. Beat Nebraska in 2015, but lost to Nebraska in 2014. Split with Ohio State 2010, 2011. Beat Penn State in 2001. But the record for Miami against Big Ten is 3-8. 7-8 against the SEC. But Miami, in the last, since 2004, so in the last 20 football seasons, is 90-71 against the ACC. 90-71. I'll do the math for you. 56% winning percentage. What is 7-5? They are like dead on 7-5. They're 30-20 for the last 6 seasons. They are 55-39 the last 11 seasons. So I just came across those numbers. I'm going to throw this away. And I should have a big database to help me with my videos, because you know what happens is I spend like 2 hours doing that, and then 3 months from now, I'll want these numbers, and then I'll have to just do them over. So Iowa's 8-4, Miami 7-5, Ohio State's 11-1. Can you give me another example of a program that's just like you can condense their history, their recent history into a record? Just say that's what they are. You can't do that with too many programs to that degree. You can't say Penn State's 10-2. That's a high water mark. Now, they were 7-6 a couple of years ago. We're keeping it to a regular season, 7-5. They've fallen short of that 10-2. People think Penn State 10-2 because those are the best Penn State teams, and of course they constantly lose to Ohio State and Michigan. Franklin Fanatic, Penn State is 10-2. Are they truly 10-2? Are they truly 10-2? If you boil down James Franklin's record, that's an 83% winning percentage. I was about to pull up his record. I got it right here. He's gone. Okay, let's start last season and go backwards. Regular season, 10-2, 10-2, 7-5, 4-5, 10-2, 9-3, 10-2, 10-2, 7-5, 7-5. I think that's the high water mark. If we had to put a record on Penn State, I'd put that record on Penn State because I'd say they're 10-2 a lot, but their down years bring them down. But man, I cannot think of 3 programs where you can just, okay, the other one would be Alabama under Nick Saban, 11-1. Ohio State's 11-1 all the time. Alabama's 11-1 all the time. We'll see if that Ohio State record has been proven through 3 coaches. We'll see the Nick Saban impact. We've gotten to a point with Georgia, Kirby Smart, since 2017. So that's 7 football seasons. We're getting to that point. 11-1. There you go, Ralph. I would say the same thing. Lots of 10-2s, but then the down years, you throw it all together, 9-3. Wisconsin, they have a better history, recent history. Let's say post Kirk Ferentz. I did a Wisconsin-Iowa breakdown comparison last 20 or 25 years. I think I did the Kirk Ferentz era because it was for the Iowa channel. Wisconsin's better. They're better than Iowa. Now, the last 3 or 4 years, they've not been better than Iowa. But over the last 20, 25 years, Wisconsin's been better. They tend to give that 9-3 vibe, but the winning percentage isn't quite 9-3. Utah, okay, Kyle Whittingham has been there long enough that we should be able to say, okay, Utah, Kyle Whittingham. I would say 8-4. Now, of course, recently it's better than that. Eight and 4 is a floor. I guess their floor is 8-4. They had a 7-5 season just 3 years ago. So I don't exactly know how these gifted memberships work, but I do want to thank Moose again. I cannot put it into words. I cannot thank you enough. So Moose, you're here for us. We appreciate you. If there's anything we can do that's better, anything we can do, please let me know. So Morris, I don't know how it works. There's some kind of random deal where it throws these memberships at people when they are gifted. So Moose has thrown 5 out there. Morris, thank you so much for that. I'm going to be posting on the channel as soon as we get done here, within a half hour or so. I'm going to post your Discord link so you can go to Discord. You're going to have access to the post that I make, and then you're going to see the other benefits of being a YouTube channel member. Morris, I don't know that I've seen you here before. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. Would love to know how long you've been watching and who you root for. Oh, emojis. Oh man, that's on the to-do list. There are so many emojis. Oh man, this is a great. Moose, do me a huge favor. Do me a huge favor. Copy and paste that and put it in an email to me. If you could do that. Moose, if you can hear me right now, please copy and paste all that and put it in an email to me, and I will do that, the emojis. Tim's tired of the transfer portal. I am tired of the transfer portal. I am suffering from transfer portal exhaustion. But this is what's going on right now. So this is what we do, and we keep up with it. That's what we do. Some of it's interesting to me. When there's a little player movement, it's interesting, but it's way too much. It's way too much. Troy says here, Mark puts in all those emojis, but forgets the Buckeyes logo in them, and people say Mark is biased. If I'm biased, understanding everybody's biased at least that much, and that's me. I am biased, flesh and blood. You got to be biased. Everybody is. But I eliminate like 98 or 9% of it pretty damn well. All right, Jackson checking in on Morris. We're going to post the Discord link and send that to the YouTube channel members as soon as we get done here, within a half hour or hour, because I do have 5 items I need to get to. All right, we have not started in on the headlines, but before we do that, I did want to bring to light a post that I found today, courtesy Ferris is telling me that I'm not unbiased on the Ohio State show. All right. I don't have time to argue that. All right. So I reposted. I thought this was nothing I didn't already know, but it backs it all up. So we talk about this all the time. Do stars matter? Of course they do. Of course they do. Are there aberrations? Of course there are. Stars matter. Stars matter in regards to winning and producing NFL talent. Absolutely they do. So, Preston Guy. I don't know who that is. I looked at his Twitter. It sounds like, or his X, and it looks like he's pumping out some great information. So on this particular post, if we go to Preston Guy's post, he is stating here, another rough day for the Stars Don't Matter crowd. In the first round of this year's draft, there were 11 5-stars, 4 stars, 12, 3 stars, 8, 2 stars or below, 1. Okay, so if all you do is look at those numbers, then you would say, okay, well, it's just as easy to be a first-round pick as a 4-star as a 5-star. No. No. And that's his next statement. We talk about this all the time. So again, take that in. 32 picks in the first round of the NFL draft, 11 5 stars, 12 4 stars. There you see the 3 stars with 8. So looks like you're more likely to be a first round pick as a 4 star than a 5 star. No. This past year, I roll out these numbers roughly, and I'm very close to his actual numbers because we talk about this all the time. There are only 32 5 stars. There's only 32 of them every year. 311 4 stars. He took the 2020 rating because that aligns with the 2024 NFL draft. So he took the 2020 recruiting class. And so there are 1,800 3 stars, 1,900 2 stars and below. So those are your odds based on the 2020 recruiting class. And if you took that every year, you know what? You would find that is consistent. Is it going to be 11 out of 32 every year? No. Sometimes it's going to be 13. Sometimes it's going to be 10. But it's going to be very close to 11 5 stars. And then you see it from there. So if you're a 5 star, you've got a 34% chance of being a first round pick. If you're a 4 star, it's only 3 to 4%. Wow. If you're a 3 star, you have a 0.4% chance. And Preston Guy, maybe I'll give him a call and see if he would like to come on the show. So some people have pointed out to me that this means 65% of 5-star players are misevaluations, so stars don't matter, which is an absurd statement, as he is saying there. You tell me, would you rather a player in a category with a 34% chance of being a first rounder or a less than 1% chance of being a first rounder? Yes, there are almost as many 3 stars as 5 stars. Wait, yes, there are almost as many 3-star players as 5 stars, I think he means in the first round, but that's because there are 61 times as many 3 stars. Stars matter. I'm sorry to say, it would be great if we could go with the narrative that just recruit anybody that has a heart and is a hard worker, and they're going to get the job done, and you coach them up and develop them, and they're going to be great players, and you're going to have a great team. That would be awesome if you could say that. This comment that goes around that you see all over the place, and I understand the spirit of the comment, and this just isn't in football or in sports, but it's all over the place, that you can be anything you want to be. Just if you've got the heart and the determination, you can be anything you want to be. No, you can't. Sorry. I believe that to a certain extent, but there is logic that has to be applied to that. At 15 years old, I could have thought, I want to be an NBA player. I could have worked at this 18 hours a day. I would have never been an NBA player. That's all there is to it. If I said at the age of 15, I want to be the greatest violinist in the world, that I can't say that I couldn't have achieved that. And when we say the greatest, I'm guessing that there are probably 20 violinists that you could argue are the greatest for whomever does that sort of thing. There's probably not the greatest violinist of all time or the greatest right now. There's probably, okay, well, this group of 20 or 25. But to become that good, yes, it takes the talent with the hard work, the determination, the coaching, the development, having a plan. And it's not all just about hard work. Hey, if hard work had everything to do with success, it has a lot to do with success. If it had everything to do with success, You know what you guys say about me all the time? What is stated about me all the time that I don't like to hear anymore? I didn't mind it a couple years ago, but I don't like to hear it anymore because that's not what my life needs to be. But I hear all the time, Mark, you're the hardest working guy on YouTube. Well, is my channel successful? No, not by any kind of reasonable standards. No, it's not successful. It's certainly not the most successful. So you equate hard work and success? No, that's out of balance. That is not correlating. I could give tons of examples. No, you need to find what you're good at and what you enjoy. Try to put all those things together, and then you apply yourself and work hard at it. But this whole, I've had, and I'm tempted to throw out some names, had conversations with people that you would know that are just like, I just want my team to grab, like, the boys in state and coach them up, and we'll be as good as anyone. We'll beat your asses. No, you won't. No, you won't. Grab all the in-state players you want. If you're the proud Kansas State fan, West Virginia fan, you're not going to win. You're going to win your fair share of games on Saturday against the likes of Houston and UCF. No, you need talent. You need talent. Now, can that talent be wasted? So taking it from the other side, yes, if you just throw out talent onto a field, don't coach them, train them, develop them, give them a good scheme, provide them with a structure, a culture, they'll fail. Texas did it for 15 years. Texas A&M has done it. Miami has done it. Bad coaching. You need all of it. You need all of it. But it has to start with talent. On a given day, yes, I will take the 3-star loaded team, let's say really good 3 stars, not the aberrations, not the J.J. Watts. I will take the 3-star loaded team that is coached by the best and has a great program, works hard, does everything right. I will take them on a given Saturday to upset the 4- and 5-star team that is dysfunctional. But I don't know. If there's any semblance of decent coaching in a program, you have to have talent. We do appreciate all of you being here at the Voice of College Football. You know what Michigan pulled off the last 3 years, and specifically the last season in winning the national championship, well, there's your formula. Michigan pretty much did everything right. Ohio State did not go into a slump. People like to think that Ryan Day's Ohio State team is not as good as Urban Meyer's Ohio State teams. Yeah, they are. Again, it could be like that. It's Michigan put together. You take a coach that I defended. I became the apologist for Jim Harbaugh in 2019, 2021. You take a coach who's as successful as he is, who did what he did at Stanford and at San Francisco and initially at Michigan. You take a guy that's that good and then give him the coaching staff that he needs or have him go out and get those people. Then you take the Michigan level of talent that they recruit, which is top 10 to 15 in the country, and then you coach it and develop it, and you build a culture where players are working for each other, fighting for each other, care about each other. Then you use the transfer portal intelligently You don't just throw people together. You look at quality players, quality people from quality institutions. You bring them in, they fill needs. Some of them become impact players, some of them become role players, and that's the best way to do it. Ferris says Ohio State's NIL approach is eventually going to destroy the locker room culture. Maybe. I don't see what Ohio State's doing that's that egregious. They have picked up 4 players out of the portal that will have an impact. 4. Do this. Go on Google and type in any team and transfer portal, and you can go to their 2024, because I do this every day. I am currently building an all-conference team for one of the particular conferences because I was asked to do it. And so I'm putting together an all-conference team, which is exhaustive if you really think about it. It seems easy. Oh, yeah, put together an all-conference team. This is easy. It's not. Because if you take, I'm talking first team, second team, third team, honorable mentions, you're talking about like 70, 75 players. So if you take last year's, 2/3 of those guys are onto the NFL or they transferred out of the conference. So then I had to go through all of those people, and it was this whole process, go through transfer portals, to try to determine 15 deep on the offensive line is difficult to do. Anyway, but I've been looking at transfer portal numbers for every team, who's coming in, who's leaving. The numbers are crazy. Your average team, it's about 15 to 20 coming in and leaving. So it's about 30 to 40 total. Ohio State's is minimal. Nobody's left. What good player has left Ohio State? The last one was Jamison Williams. Dallin Hayden left. He's the 3rd string running back. He should be starting. He's going to be a star running back at Colorado. Of course he left. He didn't leave because he wanted to leave Ohio State. He left because he can't play. And he can go to Colorado, and he's going to, I can almost guarantee he's going to run for 1,000 yards this year if they don't throw it 55 times because they're losing every week. So I'm not saying you're wrong, because I cannot predict the future as you are here. But they went out, got a quarterback. They got a running back to complement their other star running back. Both of those guys have no issue with that. Nobody needs to carry the ball 30 times a game through a 16 or 17 game season. And they picked up a safety. That's all they've done. The quality of those guys is through the roof. That's what Ohio State's done. That's what garnished so much attention, is because of the quality of the transfer portal additions. But the volume of it is minuscule compared to just about everybody else that's not Clemson. Where are their transfers? Look at their team last year. They had a cornerback who was a transfer. Davison Igbinosun. Michigan had many more transfers playing for their team last year than Ohio State did. No, I'm not accepting that. But I cannot predict the future. But their NIL approach is minuscule compared to other teams. Yes, they picked up McLaughlin at center. I was going to mention him. And I'm talking about the guys that are going to play. Julian Sayin, of course, the quarterback. All right, let's get to the headlines. And I'm guessing these are going to be all about the transfer portal. So we are going to brush through them because we've got a transfer portal update show at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are certainly not going to make this Wake Up Transfer Portal show. We are not going to make that the centerpiece of the show every day. I was talking to somebody about our little show here yesterday, and I said, can't wait for this show during the regular season. Can't wait until we get to the regular season because this show is going to be, I don't know, I'm going to have to somehow just come in laser focused and we're going to get right to it because we're going to have, just think about it being the middle of September, us doing this every day. We're going to have all sorts of games from the weekend before and the weekend coming up to talk about constantly. It's going to be so much fun, but I don't know how we're going to keep it down under 5 hours. All right, this is the Colorado running back, led the team in rushing last year. Dylan Edwards had the remarkable first game debut against TCU. And then, of course, Dallin Hayden is signed and he leaves and goes to Kansas State. Again, we're going to highlight that at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on our transfer portal update. Really good running back. I was impressed with him. And of course, boom, he shows up on national television against TCU on Fox right out of the gate, puts up big numbers. I think $159. So that's a great pickup for Kansas State, who lost Trayshawn Ward to Boston College. Okay, Dion, I guess this is a headline. Anytime Dion talks, it's a headline. So there we go. This is coming in from Andrea Adelson. So Dion made a ridiculous comment about his sons not playing in the cold the other day that was so beyond ludicrous and stupid. But anyway, this has nothing to do with that. These guys had a scrimmage the other day during the spring game. He reiterated his commitment to the Buffaloes program. That's a good thing to do. So some people think I pick on Dion because I posted a couple videos where I was evaluating his statements and didn't think them to be the wisest statements to make. But I certainly have also posted videos and had conversations on here with callers in which I have praised Deion Sanders. Dion says here, I tell them the truth. I tell them I'm a father, not a baby daddy. I don't follow my kids. I pave roads for my kids. I build generational wealth for my kids. I lead my kids. I don't follow my kids. So I do not plan on following my kids to the NFL. I have work to do here. So that's a good statement to make. And I believe in that approach. Now, to what degree do you help your kids? That is up to every parent to decide. I have certainly tried to take a measured approach in regards to helping them, but also just providing a framework for them to make their own decisions, for them to decide, for them to work and earn it on their own. He loves it there, but it's cold, Dion. I would never think a young brother from the South would really love it in this part of the country, but I really do. The fan base that we have here, I just want to really bless you with a tremendously successful team. I really do. That's my heart. Of course, last year's spring game had the crazy fanfare and the national TV audience and all of that, and the sold-out crowd. In this year's spring game, Colorado distributed 28,000 tickets for Saturday's game, the second largest crowd in school spring game history, to last year. They had a black and gold weekend with a talent show earlier in the week and a concert featuring Lil Wayne. All right, so basically that's about Colorado. Deion Sanders confirming his commitment to Colorado despite his sons moving on after this season. We've got big news here. And again, there will be more on this coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We anticipated this. Here we go. We've talked about it for a week to 10 days. We've had Brad Tejeda here from Keen's Insight a couple times talking about this. He predicted it. Cam Underwood, State of the U, our Miami show. Please join us for that each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We talked about it. This seemed like it was a certainty, and it's come to fruition. Damian Martinez, Oregon State running back, first team All Pac-12, chooses Miami. There it is. Since announcing his decision to transfer, the Lewisville, Texas native visited multiple schools, including Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and to Arizona. I think he canceled a trip to Kentucky. And there it is. He's a big, pounding running back. And Miami has a really good one in Mark Fletcher, who had a tremendous freshman season. So Miami's in good shape at running back with Damian Martinez and Mark Fletcher in particular. And they also picked up, can't think of the player's name, but he was a top commit this year, originally committed to Ohio State, signed with Miami. All right, I saw this headline a couple days ago. I have not read this, but we will see what the deal is. I do believe, before reading it, what they are suing over, because by all indications, by all the reports that came in, when these Iowa athletes, and when we're talking about Iowa, this doesn't necessarily just mean the University of Iowa. This means Iowa State are the ones that get the attention, but it was at 3 to 4 schools, or maybe more. I know that there were athletes at Northern Iowa and another smaller school within Iowa that were impacted. As you see in the first sentence there, more than 24 athletes. So when it says Iowa, again, that doesn't mean University of Iowa. And I think, without even reading this, this is going to be about the way in which the investigation took place and how they discovered these betting violations was illegally executed. I think that's what we're going to read, because I remember when this initially came out, I thought, they're in trouble. They're not going to be able to take this all the way through because of the way they collected this information and caught them. So we got more than 24 athletes who were based in Iowa filed a federal lawsuit Friday alleging that state criminal investigators violated their constitutional rights by using geolocation software to track activity on their cell phones as part of a widespread sports wagering inquiry. Like, they sat outside of the dorms and used this technology. That's not legal. 47-page lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Iowa is whether the state's criminal investigators needed a search warrant before using a program from third-party company GeoComply to find athletes. Well, based on the initial things that I read, it sounds as though the plaintiffs have a great case here. And this is especially damaging for those under the age of 21, because then that's illegal betting versus the 21 and older, in which it just violates NCAA laws, rules, which, for as much as we trash the NCAA, these rules that they have in place when it comes to betting for the most part, for as much as I know. Not that I know every NCAA betting guideline and standard, but they seem to be reasonable and prudent. The plaintiffs are 26 current and former athletes, 16 from the University of Iowa, 9 at Iowa State, 1 from a community college in central Iowa. Okay, there's your rundown. I thought it was more than that. 13 played football, 6 wrestled. The other 7 played baseball or basketball. Yeah, so obviously their lives have been impacted. That's without question. Now, have their civil rights been violated? The lawsuit alleges the state, its Department of Public Safety, Division of Criminal Investigation, and its agents violated the athlete's civil rights by using the GeoComply software. You would think that that would be buttoned up, that there would be a conversation about that, and there would be clarification by a federal agency before conducting that type of GeoComply provides geolocation software to major sportsbooks to monitor users. The lawsuit notes that when users register with online betting companies, they consent to share their location data with GeoComply, who in turn provides this data back to the companies. And I would think that there would be a lot of business reasons to do that, that I don't know that I agree with, but the one lawful component there would be making sure that people are, although if you're a resident of somewhere, you can be anywhere with your phone. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on this. We will keep an eye on that situation. So those are the headlines. And now we get to what's for breakfast. Well, what is for breakfast? I've not thought about it. So far, that's been for breakfast, water. I hope you're drinking enough water. If you get anything out of today's show, water. Drink a lot of water. Just drink it. Keep it handy all the time. When we put this show together, wanted to make it different. So here we go. Different look, different setting. We wanted to make it different. So we go through the morning headlines, because if you're just joining us for a first time or didn't hear me explain this at one point, you know, old school middle America is opening the front page and going through the sports section, and you're reading the morning paper. Well, we wanted to kind of bring that feel. So if you have a different source, I go to ESPN, I just run through the 4 or 5 stories there. But if you have a different source that you would like us to use, let me know. Leave that in the comment section somewhere where I can find it, not in the chat, because this is going to be gone. I know that I can go back and look at the chat, but just please leave me a comment to a video. If you would like me to use a different source, it's got to be a national source. We're not going to read the Chicago Tribune or the Podunk Register to keep up on Iowa State. National headlines. So let me know what source you want me to go to if this is not getting it done. Also, the other segment that we provide every day is What's for Breakfast, Mark? And of course, we did bacon and eggs the other day for everyone. Well, for me, it was for me. It wasn't for everyone. Sorry, we don't have that technology worked out yet where I could just be, you know, Troy, how many slices do you want? Bacon, eggs, how many eggs? And then just I could be the short order cook and be delivering your breakfast for you. But we did bacon and eggs. We've done a number of various cereals, one of which I almost had a meltdown last week because of the serving size deceit on the packaging. Didn't enjoy that. We'll never purchase that product again because it's way too high in sugar for its payoff. If I'm going to eat that stuff, I might as well eat Lucky Charms. I thought I was eating a healthy cereal because it's organic, but it was loaded with sugar. And again, it probably has more. It does have more grams of sugar than like Lucky Charms. I'm going to go get me some Lucky Charms. So we've done a couple of different cereal items, bacon and eggs, did a smoothie for Megan. Thank you so much for that. So if there's a specific breakfast item, whatever it is you want me to try, it could be as simple as this kind of bagel or this kind of donut, or it could be as elaborate as, Mark, I want you to make my favorite omelet. I want you to try this. And so we will do whatever it is. And so you send in the super chat, you leave me your menu item, we will get to it. I won't do it today because I obviously don't have the items with me. We will do it in a later show as we did with Megan's request. All right. Follow me over to the refrigerator. I think this is going to be pretty sparse here, folks. A lot of leftovers, which I can thank my friends for. This is an annoyance to me, but this is life. Life is not fair when it comes to food, in my book. The really good tasting foods, loaded with sugar, loaded with garbage. So here's your non-fat plain yogurt. This is the one with 6 grams of sugar. Oh. Anyway, the stuff that I like, it's the same brand, but the vanilla tastes so much better than plain yogurt. So I got to put something in the plain yogurt, obviously. It's pretty nasty just to eat by itself. But the vanilla yogurt, I could eat that by itself, but it's got 3 times as much sugar in it, just to have vanilla in it, I guess. So it does. So we just have a little bit of yogurt left. I went with the almond milk this time around. I just finished off my milk last night. And I don't know why I'm shouting, because if the mic works, the mic works. But yeah, so I've got bacon and eggs. I really don't think I'm making bacon and eggs today. I just don't care to, and you probably can't hear me now because my mic just shifted. And we've got, that's right. I had that supersized mega box of Life. If you caught me all last week, had that like huge box of Life. It's gone. I finished it. I forgot. I finished it yesterday. Well, I'm definitely going to drink more water, and I'm going to have a protein drink here. And then after that, I may have to go bacon and eggs. I probably will have to go bacon and eggs. I've got a meeting in a few minutes. I'm going to have to go bacon and eggs while I'm on the phone for this meeting. That's what we're going to do. And can everybody hear me? Sounds like a smoothie morning. I don't even have, well, you know what, Michael? Thank you for being here. Michael's chiming in right now. Michael's probably concocting some kind of Notre Dame argument in his head as we speak. I don't think that ever stops. I think Michael constantly is churning Notre Dame information in his brain. So for him to get that out, yeah, the smoothie, we could do a smoothie this morning. We could do a smoothie. I've told you guys that I will be making breakfast, especially when you've got requests. I will be making breakfast. I have made breakfast in the past. Not going to do that today because we're running out of time. And I just didn't know if you could hear me because the mic actually dropped into my shirt and I had to hold it up and then repin it. So where was I? Yeah, I think it's going to be a bacon and eggs morning. I don't think you need to see my bacon and eggs product in the in the refrigerator. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up here at the Voice of College Football. Again, if you would like me to make a particular breakfast item, whether that involves me actually mixing and stirring and doing all those technical cooking things that I don't like to do, but I will do them, we can do that. We can have fun making breakfast together. Leave me your menu items, give me your recipe, and we will make those. Or if it's simply, hey, Mark, did you ever try this kind of bagel? I basically have eaten 2 or 3 types of bagels in my life. I'm exaggerating, maybe more than that, but I'm not a bagel connoisseur. I like a good bagel with cream cheese. So it could be very simple, like try this kind of donut, try this kind of bagel. Or it could be, yeah, we get the mixing bowls out, we do the whole thing. We're right here, boom. That's why I got the wireless mic to cook in the kitchen together. All right, folks, appreciate you being here. 3 p.m. Eastern time with the Transfer Portal Update Live. This is Monday, therefore it's our Texas show at 7, and it's our USC show at 10 Eastern. Check out the top 10 non-conference games. I posted that video yesterday. I'm going to post the under the radar, the best under the radar games in 2024. And then also, yes, I'm going to start working on all-time program rankings. All-time program rankings are coming. We will see you at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Appreciate you being here.